It's the Year of the Horse, and as the Chinese community celebrates their new year, one center in Gaithersburg is doing their part to make sure all Chinese Americans have a chance to thrive.
There's a different kind of excitement in Bethesda as a bear romped through the NIH campus and ended up in a tree.
The service has more than 5,000 listeners, served by about 400 volunteers who come to these booths in Silver Spring to read the day's news on the air. Zeke is one of 8 horses here at Great and Small in Boyd's, trained specially for therapeutic riding. This blue building on Georgia Avenue is a staple for music lovers near and far. But after 64 years, Dale Music in Silver Spring is closing its doors. The Silver Spring Citizens Advisory Board had a lot of questions for Montgomery County Councilmember Hans Reamer as he presented his idea to bring more green space to downtown Silver Spring. There's a new business here in Silver Spring, and it's turning heads for its urban twist on the classic butcher shop, hoping to draw customers in with its unique nose-to-tail dining. Clifford to Waldo, everyone's favorite children's character, has showed up for the annual Gaithersburg Book Festival.
Kellen, can you take your plate?
Everyone has to pitch in at mealtimes in the Fraser home. Bethany's husband is serving a 10-year sentence in Maryland for drunk driving and killing a bicyclist. One of the unexpected challenges, the financial toll of staying in touch.
I would say $100-something a week if we talked to him every time he called.
The lack of regulation and the rampant connection and user fees have driven up the cost of prison phone calls.
This is a result of prison telephone companies that are overcharging because they can.
In Maryland, it costs $3 to connect a call and $1 each minute, making a 10-minute call $13. In Missouri and Nevada, there's a $7 fee to add money to an account. Keith de Blasio was brutally attacked while in prison. His mom's voice was a lifeline.
Times that she would come for visitation and sleep in the van because they didn't have the money. They had put it out for phone calls.
The outcry from inmates and their families prompted the Federal Communications Commission to tackle rate reform. A vote is scheduled for Friday.
You're seeing devastation as it relates to families, and the one opportunity that they have to keep in touch is not an affordable one.
The Associated Press contacted the 2 major phone companies used by prisons. American Securities, which owns Global Tel-Link, declined to comment, but Securus Technologies says it has provided the FCC with extensive information on its cost of service, which was prepared by a highly regarded economist.
If you want a peanut butter sandwich?
For Fraser, she hopes the FCC backs up words with action.
I just want everything to be okay for my children, which does include contact and communication with their dad.
Which means at least 5 more years of phone calls before their father can join them at the table. Valerie Bonk, Associated Press.
He traveled with his family from Ecuador to the U.S. when he was a teenager. Born with cerebral palsy, David and his family were in search of therapies and medical treatments to help him walk and navigate his daily life. Therapeutic riding was his ticket to improvement.
I'm able to sometimes be walking around my house without using braces or without using the sticks around my house. Before I couldn't do that.
David is one of more than 50 students who take therapeutic riding lessons each week at Great and Small, using the movement of the horse to train and strengthen their muscles.
The motion that the person's pelvis goes through when they're sitting on a horse is the same motion that your pelvis goes through when you're walking. So for someone with a physical need, you're strengthening the same muscles.
The nonprofit program operates on property donated by the county and is dependent on donations and rider fees to keep running. The horses themselves are either donated or on lease from their owners. Zeke is one of 8 horses here at Great and Small in Boyd's, trained specially for therapeutic riding. Therapy sessions are run with the help of close to 100 volunteers who spend time preparing and assisting riders during lessons.
I've sidewalked or assisted with a couple of kids that at first you almost had to hold them in the saddle, and toward the end they were sitting up straight.
We have parents who come in and say, my kid is walking now, and they weren't walking until we started riding. So it's incredible.
For David, he's grateful for the opportunity to try something new and grow in the process.
It has been a joyful experience for me because I haven't had this opportunity, the same opportunity in my country.
For more information about the program, visit their website at greatandsmallride.org. For MyMC Media, I'm Valerie Bonk.
drew quite a crowd at the Medical Center Metro as the bear perched from his tree branch at the entrance to the National Institutes of Health.
This is very exciting. It's something to mix up the day.
Fire rescue crews, police, and medical personnel stood by as NIH employees were notified by email that there was a bear on the premises. Once they got the all clear, they tried to scare the bear out of its tree with firecracker-like devices.
It just launches a noisemaker. It's essentially a propelled firecracker, like a sanctioned bottle rocket, if you will.
And those with the Department of Natural Resources were hoping it worked, because Plan B would be risky for the animal.
Now, we're not inclined to shoot a dart into them. It's not like it is on TV, no offense. They don't fall right over. And in the event that you get a bad shot, you hit them in a place you don't want to, you kill them.
And after close to 3 hours, the approximately 1.5-year-old 100-pound bear started his descent, climbing down the tree and heading through the woods on the NIH campus. Shortly after, police from the Department of Natural Resources shot the bear twice with a tranquilizer.
Folks in this part of the world pretty much have to get used to seeing bears now. They're not going to be as common as raccoons, but our bear population is slowly growing.
In fact, there have been several reports of bear sightings across Montgomery County this season.
Okay, it's not uncommon for them to go anywhere from 80 to 100 miles from the area that they were born in. So, and this has happened past 10 years, annual basis. May, June, July, we've had the seasonal dispersal of bear like this into this area.
And for the bear, who is made famous on Twitter, gaining more than 1,500 followers and a parody account someone created, officials say he'll be just fine. He'll be released back into the wild near the Potomac River. For IMC Media, I'm Valerie Bonk. Freddie Pico went completely blind from glaucoma when she was 13 years old, but she wasn't going to let that stop her from keeping up with what was going on around her.
Even today, with all of the technology, you'll always have that group of people who will not be able to go online and read the newspaper, who won't have someone to read it to them.
That's where the Metropolitan Washington Ear comes in. The nonprofit organization brings the printed word to the visually impaired, offering free radio and dial-in services to those in Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C.
It gives them a self-sufficiency and an independence that you just can't calculate the value of that.
The service has more than 5,000 listeners, served by about 400 volunteers who come to these booths in Silver Spring to read the day's news on the air.
My mother was a subscriber. She had lost her sight from diabetes and was a subscriber. I thought, wow, this is perfect.
Every day, starting early in the morning, volunteers read the Washington Post, USA Today, and selections of other newspapers and magazines into the computer for listeners to access 24 hours a day from their phones, online, or on radios given to them for free.
I ran into a woman at the post office a little while ago, obviously blind with an aide, and I walked over to her. I said, "Have you ever heard of the Washington Ear?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I thought your voice sounded familiar." And I thought, aha, a listener. And I can't tell you how good that made me feel.
Former Montgomery County public school teacher Bob Gallagher heard about the program through one of his students. Now retired, he reads the Washington Post live on the radio every Friday morning.
It feels very fulfilling because you know you're communicating with a community member and helping them to have a full engagement in the society that we all sighted people take for granted.
You can find more information about the Washington Metropolitan Ear online. From IMC Media, I'm Valerie Bonk.